Hello everyone and welcome back to English. I look forward to sharing with you guys the official region's directions and our third text analysis response passage. It's important to remember that Mrs. Homizak and I said that we are going to be writing a total of 9 essays. The first 3 we're going to write all together. The second group of 3 essays, so essay 4, 5, and 6, you will write with less help, and then hopefully essays 7, 8, and 9, you'll be able to write mostly by yourselves. Remember, for these first 3 essays, it's important that you guys pay attention to the steps that Mrs. Homizak and I have used to write this essay. Start to memorize those steps so when you're on your own, you're able to remember how to write this essay. Please open up to page 1. I'd like to review with you, since it's been about a week since we've looked at these. I'd like to review with you the part 3 directions. Your task. Closely read the text provided on pages 22 and 23 and write a well-developed text-based response of 2 to 3 paragraphs. Make sure that you have underlined. In your response, identify a central idea in the text and analyze how the author's use of one writing strategy, we've circled literary element, develops the central idea. We've drawn a line to the top of the page from that sentence and have written these words, the purpose of the entire essay. Going back to the text. Use strong and thorough evidence from the text to support your analysis. Do not simply summarize the text. You may use the margins to take notes as you read and scrap paper to plan your response. Write your response in the spaces provided on pages 7 through 9 of your essay booklet. Okay, real quickly, just want to take a look at these bullets again. Be sure to identify a central idea in the text. Bullet 2. Analyze how the author's use of one writing strategy, we circled literary element, develops the central idea. Examples include characterization, conflict, denotation and connotation, metaphor, simile, irony, language use, point of view, setting, structure, symbolism, theme, tone, etc. Use strong and thorough evidence from the text to support your analysis. Organize your ideas in a cohesive and coherent manner. Maintain a formal style of writing. That means write this like you're writing this essay for your English teacher and not in a texting kind of form. And follow the conventions of standard written English. All right, Josiah and Layla, see you guys later, okay? Now let's flip forward all together. Past text 1, done. Past text 2, done. And we're going to land on text 3, Miss Brill. So the first thing that I notice about this this passage from June 2019 is that the title is Miss Brill, M-I-S-S, which means that this person is not married. Please underline any interesting or important information as we read, and know that at the end of today's passage for step 1, we're going to need to come up with a central idea or a life lesson from this short passage. Grab those pens and pencils, guys, and let's get ready to underline text 3. Miss Brill. There were a number of people out this afternoon, far more than last Sunday, and the band sounded louder and gayer, meaning happier. That was because the season had begun. For although the band played all the year round on Sundays out of season, it was never the same. It was like someone playing with only the family to listen. It didn't care how it played if there weren't any strangers present. Wasn't the conductor wearing a new coat too? She was sure it was new. He scraped with his foot and flapped his arms around like a rooster about to crow, and the bandsmen sitting in the green rotunda blew out their cheeks and glared at the music. Now there came a little fluty bit, very pretty, a little chain of bright drops. She was sure it would be repeated. It was. She lifted her head and smiled. So Miss Brill is obviously on the Sunday afternoon listening to like a full orchestra or band play. And she seems happy. Heading back to the text at line 10. Only 2 people shared her special seat. A fine old man in a velvet coat, his hands clasped over a huge carved walking stick, and a big old woman sitting upright with a roll of knitting on her embroidered apron. They did not speak. This was disappointing for Miss Brill, always looked forward to the conversation. She had become really quite expert, she thought, at listening as though she didn't listen, at sitting in other people's lives just for a minute while they talked round her. She glanced sideways at the odd couple. Perhaps they would go soon. Last Sunday, too, hadn't been as interesting as usual. An Englishman and his wife wearing a dreadful Panama hat and she button boots, and she'd gone on the whole time about how she ought to wear glasses. She knew she needed them, and he'd been so patient. He suggested everything: gold rims, the kind that curved round your ears, little pads inside the bridge. No, nothing would please her. They'll always be sliding down my nose. Miss Brill had wanted to shake her. The old people sat on the bench, still as statues. Never mind, there was always the crowd to watch. To and fro, in front of the flower beds and the band rotunda, the couples and groups paraded, stopped to talk, to greet, to buy a handful of flowers from the old beggar who had his tray fixed to the railings. Little children ran among them, swooping and laughing. Little boys with big white silk bows under their chins. Little girls, little French dolls dressed up in velvet and lace. And sometimes a tiny staggerer came suddenly rocking into the open from under the trees, stopped, stared, and suddenly sat down, flap, until its small, high-stepping mother, like a young hen, rushed, scolding to its rescue. Other people sat on the benches in green chairs, but they were nearly always the same. Sunday after Sunday, and Miss Brill had often noticed, there was something funny about nearly all of them. They were odd, silent, nearly all old, and from the way they stared, They looked as though they'd just come from dark little rooms or even cupboards. Behind the rotunda, the slender trees with yellow leaves down drooping, and through them just a line of sea, and beyond the blue sky with gold-veined clouds. Tum 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 tiddlum, tiddlum, tum tiddly tum ta blew the band. Oh, how fascinating it was! How she enjoyed it! How she loved sitting here watching it all. It was like a play. It was exactly like a play. Who could believe the sky at the back wasn't painted? But it wasn't till a little brown dog trotted on solemn and then slowly trotted off like a little theater dog, a little dog that had been drugged, that Miss Brill discovered what it was that made it so exciting. They were all on stage. They weren't only the audience, not only looking on, they were acting. Even she had a part and came every Sunday. No, we're flipping the page. No doubt somebody would have noticed if she hadn't been there. She was part of the performance after all. How strange she'd never thought of it like that before. And yet it explained why she made such a point of starting from home at just the same time each week so as not to be late for the performance. And it also explained why she had quite a queer, shy feeling at telling her English pupils how she spent her Sunday afternoons. No wonder Miss Brill nearly laughed out loud. She was on the stage. She thought of the old, invalid gentleman to whom she read the newspaper 4 afternoons a week while he slept in the garden. She had got quite used to the frail head on the cotton pillow, the hollowed eyes, the open mouth, and the high-pinched nose. If he'd been dead, she mightn't have not noticed for weeks. She wouldn't have minded. But suddenly he knew he was having the paper read to him by an actress. An actress! The old head lifted. 2 points of light quivered in the old eyes. An actress, are ya? And Miss Brill smoothed the newspaper as though it were the manuscript of her part and said gently, "Yes, I have been an actress for a long time." By Catherine Mansfield, excerpted from Miss Brill, The Garden Party and Other Stories, 1922. The publishing company is Alfred A. Knopf, Inc. All right, everybody. I want you guys to start taking a step back to think about today's central idea. Let's come back together as a whole group to discuss that. You guys did a great job listening today. Thanks so much.